Just to settle any arguments, here is the side who played for North that year. From the back line, Henshaw, Dench, Gummel, Schimmelbusch, Bridus, Kekovich, Cable, Wade and Blight. First ruck, Nolan, Davis and Burns. Reserves, Gottingham and Cowton. How does it feel how did it feel to be a member of such an illustrious team?
Well, I was certainly proud to be associated with those guys. I'm humble enough to say that I think I was very lucky to be included in that side. I don't think I've been over-endowed with a lot of talent. I think if you keep persevering, the breaks will come your way. Barry Goodingham had a few injuries at the start of the year, and I got my chance. I wouldn't say I played, over well, but I kept hanging in there, and throughout the year, things just seemed to run my way a little bit, and I'm just proud to have been part of North Melbourne's first ever premiership win, and I'll remember it forever.
The word Mick used there just about sums up the man. Very humble. Well done, Mick. A couple of members of that team who are still current North players, David Dench and Wayne Schimmelbusch, send their messages.
Congratulations on the special night they've put up there for you. And it's a privilege for me to be asked to say a few words on your special night. I know you're as popular up there as what you were down here with all the North players and the North supporters. But I know there are a few people down here that are perhaps a little bit dirty on you actually leaving. One's Robbie Smith and the Social Club. The beer sales haven't been the same ever since you left. And I personally am glad that you've left, because having the locker next door to you for so many years, I've now got plenty of room to move around in. But really, you've done exceptionally well up there with Premiership last year, running up again into the finals this year. And to you and Nettie, I'd like to wish you both a very successful night tonight, and I'd like to wish you well for the coming final series.
Last couple of years we've only just starting to get used to the gaping hole that you left in our side, Mick, and believe me, it was gaping. I was having lunch with Barassi the other week, and he is still amazed at the ploy you used to use every year of having an auntie or an uncle die up around the Wangaratta area, and so he could go home and do a bit of duck shooting. He's still talking about it, and he's just he thinks that you're the only bloke that's ever conned him in all his years as a coach. I think David and Keith both mentioned sort of what you meant to the North Melbourne players and the club in general, and the spirit and enthusiasm you generated around the club, and we have missed that in the last few years, Mick, and all I can say is that I hope that you have great success this year, and congratulate you on the night they're putting on you for tonight, and I hope both you and Nettie enjoy it.
Mick, despite the fact that you say that your form was only ordinary, you run third in the best and fairest award behind Barry Davis and Keith Greig. Your coach and mentor Ron Barassi had this to say about your efforts in 1975, quote, "Mick captured the imagination of the football world with his tremendous lone rucking performances. Week after week, opposition teams used a number of men and moves to counter the skill and size of Mick, but he was rarely, if ever, beaten," unquote. I think that's a pretty good tribute from us. Barassi, when questioned by the press to name his best player for North, had this to say, quote, "Every player contributed exceptionally well today, but I thought Mopsy Rantall was fantastic." Here he is, John Rantall, who is currently the coach of opposition QAFL club Sherwood. That's a bit rude, playing Eye of the Tiger with Sherwood being coach. John, September 27, 1975. It was a pretty big day. How did you feel on that occasion?
Well, it was a very big day, actually. It brought back quite a few memories just watching that replay there. And it's probably capped off something for me. For 10, 12 years I'd played, and all my dreams were to play in a grand final, to be successful in it, and it happened that day.
Must have been a tremendous feeling, sort of as that final hooter went. What were the thoughts that go through your mind on that occasion?
Well, it was a great relief. I can remember thinking back on it. We played Hawthorn in the second semi-final, and they beat us by 12 points. And I was watching TV on the Sunday, and John Kennedy said that Hawthorn had played exceptionally well. Probably the best they played for the year, and only beat us by 12 points. And we just had the feeling that if that was their best, there was no worries that we could go on and win that grand final.
I believe the players drew straws to see who could be furthest away from Mick when the final whistle went, so he wouldn't hug them. Is that true?
I'll tell you what, Bart, I wish I was away from him that night, because he certainly made a mess of me.
What about Mick's value to the team and his performances in that year and all his time at North?
Well, I just heard Mick say that he's very humble to play with a lot of those blokes on that side. I certainly was humble to play with Mick, because I came from a side that hadn't had a wealth of big ruckmen, and in the 3 years that I was at North, I believe there was no better ruckman in the league than Mick Nolan. The first night I saw Mick at North Melbourne, and he came onto the training track, and I took one look at him, I couldn't believe my eyes. I didn't believe that he was a footballer. But certainly changed my opinion later on. I think that while I'm talking about Mick, I think a lot of the credit should go to Nettie too. In 1975, Mick had such a good year. And a lot of the players were wondering...
Don't tell me it's a sex symbol. I'm not going to believe that.
A lot of the players were wondering why Mick was having such a good year, and we decided to go and speak to Nettie about it. And her formula was that she made sure that Mick had sex with her every Saturday morning. And that got Mick fired up, and we believed that that formula was pretty good, so all the married guys at North did the same thing. That's one of the reasons for us why we won.
She's North are going to have a good side in about 20 years. Oh, mate. They told me when he turned 30, Nettie said, well, you've had a lot of presents, there's not much more I can give to you. And this probably shouldn't be told, but Nettie's given me permission to tell this, and she said, look, you've done everything. What would you like for your birthday? You can have anything or do anything you'd like to do. He said, well, Gary Madison, a few of the blokes at the team, told me that Bubbles' bathhouse is pretty good. He said, I wouldn't mind going down there one night and having a bit of a run. So Nettie said, look, not too keen on it, but seeing you've been pretty good, you can have one night out. So Mick went off with a big smile, and he came back about 6 hours later, and he thought it was pretty good. She said, well, was it really good? He said, yeah, it was terrific. He said, I got this young girl, and she was really good. Nettie said, well, what did she do that I couldn't do? And Mick thought for a while, and he said, well, she moaned. It was really exciting. And Nettie said, well, I can do that for you. So, the next Sunday morning, they didn't find their way together before church. And Nettie said, do you want me to moan yet? Mick said, not yet, not yet. So went a bit further, and Nettie said, do you want me to moan yet? Not yet, not yet. And Mick went a bit further, and he said, now. And she said, Dale's just shit his nappy, and the fridge is going. John, just a couple of final things. Firstly, now that Sheila are out of the race, who's going to win the premiership this year? If you don't say Mayne, I reckon even money to make the door.
I'm standing a bit close to Mick, but I truly hope that, for Mick's sake, that Mayne win it.
Danger?
Danger, Southport.
John, on behalf of the Mayne Football Club, I'd like to present you with this Mildara Tawny Port. It's been specially struck for the season.